Invest Karnataka 2025 is our chance to showcase Karnataka's best to the world. The business community, startups, academia, and even youngsters, I invite everyone to be part of this mega platform. From February 11th to 14th, let the world witness why Karnataka is the best destination to invest.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Daily Calls, our show where we try to answer your queries on short-term investments that you've made in the market and, of course, any long-term queries that you would have. Our guest today is Mr. Manish Chaudhary, Head of Research at Stockbox. Namaste to you, Manishji, and a very warm welcome to you, sir. Markets are not in the right frame of mind today. At least a 180-point downtick on the Nifty itself. The Sensex is also down about 480 points. Selling all around. What are you telling your investors at this point of time? What are your clients asking you?
I think the investors which have entered into the markets since COVID have not seen the kind of drawdowns which the markets have shown in the last 2 months or so. I think now everyone is worried whether this would continue or we would again be back to the previous highs. I think that is a difficult question to answer at this point in time, because my sense is that in the last 2 weeks or so, we have seen multiple positive triggers in the market, be it the budget, be it the RBI policy meeting, be it the outcome of the state elections in Delhi. And yesterday's meeting of Mr. Modi and Trump did not throw up a major negative. So that was also a bit of positive only because markets were expecting too much negativity around that event. So I think despite all these positive triggers, we are still struggling to sustain at higher levels. So I think currently my sense is that in the market we are in, large caps offer better space, better valuation comfort, better revenue visibility, and those kind of businesses have seen multiple cycles in their operational
Right.
track record. But yes, mid and small cap, I think it is very difficult to say at this point in time whether more pain is there or not, because I think still there are pockets in that space where the valuation is still not comfortable, though they have corrected by 20 to 30%. Still, the valuation comfort is missing over there, and I
Correct.
think one of the major reasons why we are seeing this kind of panic selling, especially in the mid and small cap space, is a lot of MTF book was built up in the market since COVID. I think the kind of drawdowns we have seen in the last 2 months, I think the margin calls were getting triggered, but somehow investors were fulfilling those margin calls. But we are at a point where I think further funding to those margin calls are becoming increasingly difficult. Hence, we are seeing that kind of panic selling, especially in the mid and small cap space.
Fine. And that brilliantly sums up the market sentiment at this point of time, Manishji. Let's now get to our questions segment. We have a couple of queries that have come in. Satya CK is wanting to ask, is this the right time to add CESE, Coal India and M&M for the longer time frame? M&M, of course, came up with a stunning set of third quarter earnings. Coal India is, of course, India's previous producer of the energy, and of course CESC is the power producer for Calcutta. What are your views on both these counters?
I think the three counters you've talked about, my pecking order would be first M&M, second would be Coal India, and third would be CESC. The reason being, again, as I have discussed earlier, a better space to be in large cap. And
Yes.
within that, M&M, I feel within the automobile space, M&M looks good. There are multiple triggers in place for this business, be it the new launches which have happened today itself. 14th Feb is where the new EV bookings start. So that is a big trigger for the overall business performance going ahead. My sense is that the tractor business, the volume should improve in the next few quarters with the monsoon approaching in June. So I feel the volumes would improve in the first quarter of FY26. And the overall passenger vehicle segment is doing good for M&M. So I think there are positive triggers for this counter, and I think one should buy M&M at the current levels also. Coming to Coal India, I think Coal India has seen a lot of production uptick in the last few quarters. I think the numbers have shown resilience despite being the first and the second quarter being on the weaker side. The numbers have been resilient. The kind of dividend yield which Coal India offers, I think around 350. If someone is willing to hold from a 1 to 2 year perspective, it makes a good bet. CSC, again, I'm not too comfortable currently considering the kind of markets we are in. So amongst the three, I think M&M and Coal India looks good to me.
So these are the options, Satyaji, that Manishji offers to you. Coal India and M&M at this point of time. Remember, M&M is the only auto stock which is either near its record high or has also hit a fresh peak in the last 1 week or so. So that is the momentum that is coming into M&M, and it needs to be appreciated by those who chase momentum. This momentum is also coming against the backdrop of a falling market, and therefore is all the more relevant at this point of time. We have a question coming in from Samvit Nageshwar. Manishi, Samvit wants to know, is this a good time to average Dr. Reddy's, ITC hotels and CDSL for the long term, sir?
I think, again, coming back to Dr. Reddy's, ITC Hotel, and CDSL, I think all these three counters on a fundamental basis looks good to me for a long-term perspective. I think Dr. Reddy's, the pain point here is one of its one of its drug, I think, is going to become generic in the US market. So I think there would be some pressure. I think that drug is Chevelmid, I think. And I think US generic business for the overall pharma sector has seen a pickup in pace, especially the pricing environment has improved. The domestic business continues to do well. Near-term headwinds are there for Dr. Reddy's, yes, but from again a longer-term perspective, I think that is one of the blue chip names you can own in the pharma space. Coming to ITC hotels, I feel after the listing of ITC hotels in the recent past, we saw some selling initially. That was mainly due to the kind of institutional selling which happened in the counter, because most of the large cap funds were holding ITC. So by default, they had ITC hotels also with them. And as a mandate of the fund, they cannot hold ITC hotels in the large cap fund. So there was some selling. But yes, coming to this counter, I think the kind of the traction the management has guided in terms of the new hotel openings and the kind of ARR and RevPAR we are seeing in the overall hospitality industry, I think the numbers should look good in the next few quarters. And also ITC hotels is trying to move towards an asset light kind of a thing through management contracts. So I think that also would help in improving the overall margins of the business. Coming to CDSL, yes, it's a play on the growing equity culture in India. I think though we are seeing some short-term pain in markets, I think the the structural play of equity markets, wherein still the kind of ownership we have is very low as compared to other markets. I think that should be one of the stocks in your core portfolio as well. So I think CDSL, any dips should be bought into, and it can be a hold from 3, 4, 5 year perspective kind of a thing also.
Fair point. I think the response on ITC hotels is fabulous. This was a 10 is to 1 kind of a demerger that anybody who held ITC in the mutual fund industry was given. And if the fund's mandate was not to have ITC hotels because it was a large cap fund or it was a fund that was focused on some other part of the market, there was forced selling that came in. Let's take another question, and this one, Manish ji, is coming from KNR Construction. This is Rajiv Sanwal. He wants a 1 year view on KNR Construction and he wants to buy this stock for a period of 12 months. One, is this something that you have tracked and researched? Does it make sense to enter for a 1 year period, 12-month period? And where do you think it could be headed by, say, March of 2025?
I think KNR construction, I think it is one of the better managed companies, if I can say, in the overall infra space. And with the kind of the capex push we are seeing from the government, especially from the mid December kind of a thing, and with the recent budget also coinciding with the same theme that the infrastructure is going to be the theme for the next few years. I think KNR construction would emerge as a bigger beneficiary, though it is
Okay.
more of a south focused kind of a company. But I think new orders, new tenders coming in from the government would help this company to grow its order book. Also, if you look at the various profit, the various return ratios, be it ROE, ROC, I think it has one of the best in the industry. So I think yes, at this level, for me, KNR construction has corrected from around 400 odd levels uh, about a year ago to around 250. So I think 250, I think, is a good price to take a bet on the overall infrastructure story in India. And I won't be surprised to see at least a 30 to 35% kind of return on this stock from a 1 year perspective.
Okay. Let's shift focus to now WhatsApp. We have questions coming in from Ludhiana, we have questions which have come in from Rajkot, and there is one from West Bengal as well. This is writing in on a stock called Praj Industries. This is Manisha from West Bengal. She wants to know about Praj Industries. She has 500 shares in the portfolio and it is suffering due to, I think, profit booking that's already happened. Let's see what is the all time high for Praj Industries. I think it's 800 if I remember correctly. And she wants to know, should I sell it or hold on? Yes, 844 is the all time high. And over the last 6 months or so, 3 months or so, the stock has corrected fairly substantially. Manishji, is this the worst that Praj can do, or is there more pain ahead?
I think Raj is an indirect play on the overall Indian ethanol story. So, if I can put it in that way, and I think the kind of news flows which are continuously getting affected the overall sugar industry, be it, I think 1 year back, suddenly one day the prices of ethanol were reduced. There were some limitations on the kind of ethanol you can make because the government wanted it that more sugar should be produced from sugar cane. and that sugarcane should not be used for making ethanol. So that was a mandate 1 year earlier. Recently, there are market rumors that going forward, the government would increase the ethanol prices, and also the blending would increase in the next few years. So I think the tailwinds for the ethanol industry is there, but my sense is that most of the sugar companies have already built a lot of capacity for ethanol, taking into account the kind of ethanol blending targets which the government want to achieve. Further aggressive additions into the capacity of ethanol, I think, would take time. So unless and until new ethanol capacity does not come on stream, it would be very difficult for private industries to get new businesses. So I think it's more of a cyclical play for me, and my advice would be to exit this counter as and when you get some bounce in this counter. It's not a counter which you can hold from a longer term perspective. It's more of a cyclical play.
Okay, so from West Bengal in the east, let's go to Rajkot in the west. There is Shubham who's joined us from Rajkot, Manishji, and he has 300 shares of Dhani Services at 65. I'll request the PCR to kindly show the chart of this financial services company, which is fairly a big player in the broking segment. 58.95, so it's a loss of about 7-8 rupees per share into 300, 2400 rupees loss. What should he do with the stock? Should he continue to hold it? That's the question, sir, that's come in.
Unfortunately, I'm not tracking this company, but yes, I can give you an overview about the broking industry overall. I think the broking industry in the last 1 or 2 quarters has seen some pressure on the F&O volumes, especially, uh, mainly due to the kind of regulations which have come in from SEBI. But again, my sense is that this this winter season for the F&O volumes and for the overall broking industry is a very short term kind of a thing. I think the overall equity culture in India is on an uptrend, and I won't be surprised to see this penetration increasing further in the next few years as well. So I think the view on the overall broking industry remains positive. So yes, so that is my view on the industry. I unfortunately do not track this count.
Okay, not a problem, sir. Let's just shift gears and get in touch with Mr. Chandra Singh. He's a caller who's in New Delhi, and his question is on K Fintech. I'll request the PCR to fire the longer term chart of this back end service provider for the mutual fund industry. And Chandra Singh ji, can you hear me? आपको मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. कैसे हो sir? Hello. Yes, sir.
हाँ चंद्र जी, आपको मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. आ रही है. Yes, sir. Hello. हाँ सर, मैं आवाज़ सुन पा रहा हूँ. आप मेरी आवाज़ सुन पा रहे हो?
अच्छा, आप अपना प्रश्न पूछिए मनीष जी से.
Yes, yes, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir.
मैं इनका प्रश्न पूछ लेता हूं इनकी तरफ से. ये जानना चाहते हैं कि 910 रुपए पे क्या एक फ्रेश एंट्री के फिनटेक में की जा सकती है?
So yes, talking about K Fintech, I think the stock has corrected steeply from around 1600 odd levels. The primary reason being, I think, in the last 3 months or so, the markets have punished those kind of stocks which were higher on the valuation side. The counter used to trade around 80, 90 kind of a price to earnings multiple. Currently, I think it is trading around 45 to 50 kind of a multiple. I think that is also a little for me on the higher side. So my sense for the overall counter is that the business it is into, the mutual fund business, the penetration still is low. You have seen the recent data which shows that despite the correction in the market, the kind of equity inflows has not stopped for the overall mutual fund industry. So I think a lot of tailwinds exist for the overall mutual fund industry, and K FinTech would be a direct beneficiary for that. As far as whether we should enter at the current price, my sense is that you can purchase around 25% of the amount at the current price and then keep on adding it at the lower levels if you get it.
Okay, fine. This is the question that is coming in this is the answer that is coming in response to our question on K FinTech. Let's get back to YouTube, and we have Aman Aneja. He's asking about SW Solar. I'll request the PCR to kindly fire this long-term chart of SW Solar. Mr. Aman has purchased 200 shares at 306. Manish ji, this question is the same. Hold करें या इसको एवरेज करें?
I think SW Solar, again, a EPC player in the solar industry, the tailwinds for the kind of push for the renewable energy from the government is there. I think, but somehow the talks of the management is not reflecting in the kind of financial performance which the markets are expecting, and I think that is why the markets is punishing this stock, because I think again this stock is a classic example of an overvalued kind of a stock where the multiples used to be above 200 kind of multiples. I think in the recent quarter also the numbers were not great. So my sense is it is better not to average the counter at the current levels also. I think wait for some more time, at least for the numbers, the financial numbers to reflect in, and that would be an ideal point to add further.
Okay, fair point. Let's again shift focus to WhatsApp. There is one question coming in from Mohit. He's writing in from Ludhiana, Manish ji. He wants to know about Delta Corp, and he wants to purchase this for the next 3 years. Can we have the long-term chart of this casino company? Remember, Mohit, it is always sensible to stay away from over-regulated sectors, but let Manish ji answer your query. 90 rupees 45 paisa, down 30% in the last 6 months. Manish ji, Delta Corp.
I think you have very rightly said that if someone has a view of more than 3 years or so, it is better to stay away from these sectors which are over regulated by the government, because the kind of news flows which comes in, I think that could be a big return on the stock. So I think it is better to avoid a counter like Delta Corp if someone is willing to hold it from a 3-year perspective. Now, coming back to, if not Delta Corp, then where we can put the current money from a 3-year perspective. So I think at the current juncture, I think the larger private banks looks very good from a overall valuation perspective. I think the price to book multiples which we are getting on the counters like ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, I think these two counters can be considered from a 3-year perspective.
Ji. And Manish ji, you've done a wonderful service in bringing in private sector banks. There is a very, very difficult and convoluted question that we have written by Mr. Satyan from Thrissur, Kerala. He says he has 10 private sector banks, all from large, mid and small. And he says that the rate that was there 1 year ago is the rate that we have now. So, nothing has moved. Now, he wants to know that are 10 private sector banks over diversified? Should he hold, if that is so, should he hold just 5? If those 5, then which ones? Till next Valentine Day. And he does not want you to talk about public sector banks because he already has 6 of them. तो 16 बैंक हैं इनके पोर्टफोलियो में, जिनमें से 10 प्राइवेट हैं, 6 पब्लिक हैं, and 10 में he wants you to trim them to 5. Which 5 would you want to hold, sir? Very difficult question.
I think coming back to the first thing, I think the viewer has 10 private banks wherein the prices is same as 1 year. I think the kind of industry we are in, I would be happy to say that at least drawdowns are not there, and you have generated alpha over the index level. So I think that shows the kind of resilience with the private sector banks has. Now coming back to which 5 private banks you can hold it from a 1 year perspective, I think my top picks would be firstly the 3 large cap names. One would be Axis Bank, one would be ICICI Bank, and the other would be Kotak Bank because it has come out of that RBI over regulation, I think 1 day back. So I think these 3 large cap names. I would like to add a bank, a federal bank to this because I think the kind of management it has, I won't be surprised that the strategy which they plan out, they would be able to execute it. And so federal bank remains again one of a good peak from 1 year perspective in the private banking space. The fifth counter, considering the current scenario, would be one of the housing NBFCs, wherein we feel that in the current juncture we are in, we are seeing some kind of stress, especially in the MFI sector, which is more of an unsecured kind of lending. So a better play would be to play something on NBFCs, which is a secured kind of a lending, and I think housing fits that bill. Amongst the housing and companies, NBFCs, I feel Awas Financiers from a 1 year perspective looks good to me. I think the kind of ratios, the kind of loan book growth, the kind of disbursement, the kind of collection this bank has shown consistently in the last few quarters, which were actually a little difficult quarters. I think when the tide improves, I think this would be a bigger beneficiary. So
Okay.
the 5 counters can be held from a 1 year perspective.
Okay, there's one final question that is coming in on WhatsApp. Just let me just take that. Manish ji, this is on Mr. Vyas. He's writing it on YouTube, Nannu Vyas. He wants you to suggest one dark horse.
I think in the current context, if I look, I think 2 sectors which stand out for me and can show some earnings growth trajectory in the next 1 year or so. First would be cement. Second would be chemicals. So my sense is in this cement sector, the first and the second quarter of FY25 were a little slow because I think there was no volume growth because of the election season there. And also the price growth was not there. In December, we saw many companies hiking those cement prices. And in most of the markets, except South, those price hikes got absorbed. So from here on, my sense is that you would see volume growth as well as price growth in the cement counters. And I think amongst this cement play, from the large cap name, Ultratech looks good to me. And from a mid and kind of a space, I think Shri Cement can be bought at current levels from a 1 year perspective.
ठीक है चौधरी साहब, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका, और बहुत ही अच्छी और बहुत ही सटीक आपने राय दी। मैंने बहुत ध्यान से आपके जवाब सुने और वाकई सुन के बड़ा अच्छा लगा। आज वैलेंटाइंस है तो हैप्पी वैलेंटाइंस डे, और अगले साल उम्मीद कीजिए कि 14 फरवरी को एक खुशी की लहर होगी बाज़ार में, और जो हम इस दर्द से गुज़र रहे हैं, ये दर्द कुछ ही हफ्तों में, एक आध 2 महीनों में समाप्त हो जाएगा। धन्यवाद आपका।
Thank you and happy Valentine's to you and to your whole team, Shailendra ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Manish ji. We'll take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. On the other side of this break is waiting for us Mr. Aditya Arora, founder for Adley Stick Stock Market Research.
Karnataka is India's ultimate startup destination with over 14,000 registered startups and 45 unicorns. Bangalore, proudly known as the nation's startup capital, ranks third globally in the number of startups, cementing its place as a powerhouse of innovation. The city also has 144 incubators and accelerators and 1,500 plus VC funds. Karnataka's success is further driven by strong industry, government collaboration, a bold entrepreneurial spirit, and cutting-edge R&D hubs of global giants. As we approach our global investors meet, I eagerly look forward to recognizing and rewarding the startups shortlisted through Venturize, our international startup challenge. Venturize is set to boost startup ecosystem and drive innovation and entrepreneurship across the country. Join us as we accelerate growth and shape the future through Invest Karnataka 25.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our daily calls section. Today now we are joined by Mr. Aditya Arora, founder for Adley Stick Stock Market Research. नमस्ते अरोड़ा जी, स्वागत है आपका, और वैलेंटाइंस डे की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। आपकी तो बिल्कुल सही उम्र है। बताइए आज शाम का क्या प्लान है?
शेर जी, आपको भी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। तो शाम का वही प्लान है, घूमने जाएंगे बाहर, एंजॉय करेंगे।
क्या
वैलेंटाइन डे है।
आप तो शर्मा रहे हैं।
मैं शर्मा नहीं रहा, मैं आज के मौसम के और आज के जो दिन है उसके मुताबिक खुश खुश रह रहा हूँ कि आज वैलेंटाइन डे है। और बाजार मुस्कुराने का मौका भी दे रहा है कि इधर हालात कुछ उबड़ खाबड़ लग रहे, तो सोचा कि वैलेंटाइंस डे पे ही खुशी मना लेते हैं।
चलिए, बस खुश रहना चाहिए, कारण कुछ भी हो।
कारण कुछ भी हो।
चलिए आदित्य जी, अब आपसे सवाल जवाब का सिलसिला शुरू करते हैं। हमारे साथ मौमिता जी कलकत्ता से एक बड़ा गंभीर प्रश्न आपके लिए प्रस्तुत कर रही हैं। वो कह रही हैं कि हेलो सर, द मार्केट हैज़ लेफ्ट मी स्पीचलेस एंड माय एंटायर पोर्टफोलियो इज रेड एंड इन लॉस फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, बट आई एम थिंकिंग इट मे बी अ गुड टाइम टू एंटर स्टॉक्स दैट आई हैड सोल्ड इन द पास्ट. Is Polycab good to enter at now? It has generated a lot of money for me in the last 1 year. Polycab पर राय मांग रही है, और ये भी कह रही है कि बिल्कुल लाल निशान से, जैसे आज आप शाम के लिए लाल गुलाब खरीदेंगे, वैसे लाल निशान उनके पोर्टफोलियो में भी है। तो ये जानना चाहती हैं आदित्य जी, अरोड़ा साहब, कि क्या किया जाए, पॉलीकैब खरीदें इस लेवल पे या नहीं? हमारे पीसीआर में जो माहिर बैठे हैं वो आपको लॉन्ग टर्म चार्ट पॉलीकैब का दिखाएंगे। मेरे को 7500 इसका ऑल टाइम हाई याद है। क्या बात है, 75 तो 41। बताइए अरोड़ा साहब, क्या कीजिएगा?
बिल्कुल देखिए, मुझे ऐसा लगता है जैसे थोड़ा गंभीर सवाल है। मुझे लगता है कि इन्वेस्टर को एक मेंटली शिफ्ट देखना चाहिए थोड़ा सा। जिस हिसाब से लास्ट 4 साल रहे हैं, काफी तरीके से बाजार फंडामेंटली चेंज कर रहा है। जैसे पहले 2020, 21, 22 एक लिक्विडिटी बूस्ट था इकोनॉमी में, जिसके चलते स्टॉक स्टेरॉइड पे थे, इंटरनेशनल बाजार और डोमेस्टिक बाजार। बट लास्ट 1-2 साल में कुछ चीजें चेंज हो गई है। सबसे बड़ी बात एफआई की सेलिंग, 3 लाख करोड़ की सेलिंग से ज्यादा उन माल बेच चुके हैं वो। दूसरा, इंटरनेशनल बाजार ओवर वैल्यूड है। थर्ड, टैरिफ ट्रेड वॉर चल रहा है। तो इसके चलते सेंटिमेंट थोड़े से लो रह सकते हैं, थोड़े से बेरिश रह सकते हैं इन द शॉर्ट टर्म। तो आप पहले की तरह उम्मीद लेके नहीं चले कि आप लेंगे और शायद अगले हफ्ते में मौका मिल जाएगा। पर आपका अगर 5 साल का नजरिया है तो बिल्कुल बाय ऑन डिप्स की रणनीति बनाए इस बाजार में। पॉलीकैब एक सेक्टर लीडर है केबल्स एंड बायर्स के सेगमेंट में। बट वैल्यूएशन हर जगह थोड़ा सा स्ट्रेच है। अगर एफआई की सेलिंग के चलते स्टॉक में दबाव या फिर गिरावट देखने को मिलती है, तो आप मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी छोड़ के चले। अपनी बाइंग को 5 साल में डिवाइड करके चले, लमसम इन्वेस्ट नहीं करें। 5 साल में डिवाइड करके चले तो बिल्कुल पॉलीकैप पे पॉजिटिव नजरिया रहेगा 5 साल के लिए। बट आधा एक साल जो है ना, वो थोड़ा सा वॉलेटाइल हर स्टॉक के लिए रह सकता है, क्योंकि वैल्यूएशन कंसर्न इंटरनेशनल बाजार और डोमेस्टिक बाजार दोनों में है।
ओके ओके, चलिए। हमारे पास फ़िलहाल जो प्रश्न हैं वो आपको आते हुए दिख रहे हैं ग्वालियर से। ये तो एक अजीब सा ही प्रश्न है। मतलब वो चाहते हैं जय किशन जी कि सरकार एसटीटी, जीएसटी, शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स, लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स, सर्विस टैक्स, दुनिया भर के टैक्स ले रही है और 100 में से 100 इन्वेस्टर्स को नुकसान भी हो रहा है। तो वाई इजंट द गवर्नमेंट डूइंग एनीथिंग टू स्टॉप दिस फॉल? आदित्य जी, आप इस पे कुछ टिप्पणी करना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, जो जो गवर्नमेंट का देखने का नजरिया और मार्केट पार्टिसिपेंट है, दोनों का ऑन द ऑपोजिट साइड है। निवेशक जो होते हैं वो ऐसा उम्मीद करते हैं कि मैक्सिमम प्रॉफिट कमा सके बाजार के तेजी और मंदी में। वेराज गवर्नमेंट का एक अलग उनका देखने का नजरिया रहता है। सरकार को सरकार चलानी है और देश चलाना है, तो उनका फोकस थोड़ा सा टैक्स कलेक्शन पे रहता है। उनका फोकस नेसेसरीली ऐसा नहीं रहता कि कंपनीज प्रॉफिट बनाए, बट गवर्नमेंट का सोशलिस्टिक स्टैंड रहता है, या उनका कैलकुलेशन अलग रहता है। तो हालांकि रिसेंटली निवेशक में थोड़ा सा एक डिससेटिस्फैक्शन है कि सरकार थोड़ा और करे। इस बजट में एक इनिशिएटिव लिया जहाँ पे टैक्स
जी।
एग्जेम्पशन 12 लाख तक दिया है। तो धीरे धीरे सरकार का काम करने का थोड़ा अपना तरीका होता है, धीरे धीरे वो स्टेप्स लेते हैं। पर निवेशक को थोड़ा सा अवेयर रहना है कि कैसे गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज से अप साइकिल और डाउन साइकिल बन रही है। अभी की जो पॉलिसीज या गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग है, उसके हिसाब से थोड़ा सा दबाव देखने को मिल रहा है स्टॉक में। तो आप ट्रेंड को ही फॉलो करें, ट्रेंड अभी थोड़ा सा दबाव का चल रहा है। तो उसके चलते आपके लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि सस्ते में आपको लेने को मिल रहा है। तो उस तरीके से आप इसको देखें, क्योंकि जो चीज़ आपके कंट्रोल में है उससे आपका कुछ नहीं होगा। बट इन केस आप इसको अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह ले, शेयर में दबाव को बाइंग अपॉर्चुनिटी ले इन द लॉन्ग रन, तो
राइट।
वो आपके काम का रहेगा।
हाँ। आदित्य जी, एक प्रश्न कमलेश नारखड़े से आया है। वो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि ये जो 3 कैपिटल गुड्स के शेयर्स हैं, कैपिटल गुड्स इंडस्ट्री के, जीमेंस, एलएनटी और थर्मैक्स, लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए किस रेट पर ख़रीदे जाएं इफ़ एट ऑल? अगर आपको लगता है कि अभी इसमें करेक्शन ड्यू है इन तीनों स्टॉक्स में, जीमेंस, एलएनटी और थर्मैक्स, खरीदने चाहिए और अगर हाँ तो किस रेट पर?
इसमें से मुझे लगता है कि सबसे बेहतर कैंडिडेट एलएनटी रहेगा। और बाकी दो कैंडिडेट्स में वैल्यूएशन स्ट्रेच्ड है। बट ओवरऑल कैपिटल गुड्स में अभी सेलिंग प्रेशर देखने को मिल रहा है, तो मैं कहूँगा कि अभी खरीदने का समय शायद नहीं है। बट एल का एक लेवल, टेक्निकल लेवल की अगर हम बात करें जहाँ पे रिस्क रिवॉर्ड काफ़ी फेवरेबल है, वो यहाँ से तो काफ़ी नीचे है। जो उसका लास्ट सपोर्ट था वो था 2400 के आसपास। तो यहाँ से काफ़ी लेवल नीचे है। आप थोड़ा सा वेट करें मार्केट को स्टेबलाइज होने में। पहला लेवल रहेगा 3000 का, फिर 2700 और 2400, ये टेक्निकल लॉन्ग टर्म सपोर्ट लेवल है स्टॉक के। तो बाजार में अगर गिरावट गहरा रही है तो आप भी स्टॉक को एक बार गिरने दें, स्टेबलाइज करें सपोर्ट लेवल जो बताए मैंने, 3000, 2700 और 2400, वहाँ पे थोड़ा थोड़ा अक्यूमुलेशन की राय बना सकते हैं। और दूसरी चीज़, बाजार में एक शिफ्ट हो रहा है फ्रॉम शॉर्ट टर्म टू लॉन्ग टर्म, एज इन लिक्विडिटी नहीं है बाजार में, तो एक लॉन्ग टर्म नज़रिया आप बना के चलेंगे 3 साल 5 साल उससे ज़्यादा का, तो एक अच्छी रणनीति रहेगी ना। शॉर्ट टर्म में बाजार अभी थोड़ा प्रेशर में है।
जी, आखिरी प्रश्न आपके लिए आदित्य जी। अरुण कुमार गुप्ता लिखते हैं दिल्ली से, CDSL जो कि बैक एंड स्टॉक मार्केट्स और म्यूचुअल फंड्स के लिए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मैनेज करते हैं। उन्होंने 340 शेयर लिए हैं 1450 रुपये पर शेयर में। फिलहाल 1200 रुपये के आसपास CDSL आपको ट्रेड करता हुआ दिख रहा है। आपसे जानना चाहते हैं आदित्य जी, लॉन्ग टर्म व्यू इस कंपनी के लिए 1205 पर ध्यान दीजिए। ये 1:1 बोनस है, तो एक्चुअली प्राइस 2400 है, लेकिन यहाँ पर 1450 की परचेज है पोस्ट स्प्लिट।
देखिए, ये थोड़ा मार्केट सिक्लिकल स्टॉक है। जब बाजार की तेजी होती है, आपने देखा जिस हिसाब से जो 2020 से बुल रन आपने देखा, वहां पे स्टॉक ट्रेड किया करता था 70, और वहां से स्टॉक ने दौड़ लगाई 2000। तो बहुत लंबा चौड़ा प्राइस एप्रिसिएशन आपको देखने को मिला। अब जब मार्केट साइकिल थोड़ा सा नीचे टर्न हो रही है, तो ये स्टॉक में सबसे ज्यादा डैमेज देखने को मिल रहा है। और अभी ये अपने इंपॉर्टेंट मूविंग एवरेजेस के नीचे ट्रेड कर रहा है। इसका मतलब शॉर्ट टर्म में स्टॉक में प्रेशर रहेगा। तो अगर आपकी लॉन्ग टर्म की इसमें व्यू है, मोर देन 3 इयर्स 5 इयर्स, तो आप इसमें आप आगे सोच सकते हैं। और स्टॉक का सपोर्ट बन के जो आ रहा है, इंपॉर्टेंट सपोर्ट मल्टी वीक मल्टी मंथ, वो आ रहा है 850 से 900। तो वहाँ पे अगर आपका 5 साल से लंबा नज़रिया है तो वहाँ पे आप अक्यूमुलेट कर सकते हैं। अदरवाइज जैसा मैंने बताया, शॉर्ट टर्म में मूविंग एवरेज के नीचे ट्रेड कर रहा है, तो थोड़ा शॉर्ट टर्म में प्रेशर रहेगा।
ओके, स्वाति लिखती हैं पंजाब से, शिपिंग कॉरपोरेशन के 200 शेयर 190 पर और अशोका बिल्डकॉन के 100 शेयर 200 रुपये पर स्वाति जी के पास हैं। आपकी क्या होगी आदित्य जी इन दोनों काउंटर्स पर? क्या कीजिए? शिपिंग कॉरपोरेशन 155, परचेज 190 की, और अशोका बिल्डकॉन 200 रुपये के 100 शेयर, क्या कीजिएगा?
देखिए, SCI में तो ट्रेंड थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव लगता है। आई थिंक उन्होंने अपना बताया नहीं टाइम होराइजन क्या है। बट SCI का टेक्निकली अगर हम चार्ट रीड करें, तो अपने इम्पोर्टेंट मूविंग एवरेजेस के नीचे ट्रेड कर रहा है। तो मुझे लगता है ये एक अवॉइड कैंडिडेट है, सेल ऑन राइज कैंडिडेट है। तो मौका मिले उछाल का, तो इसमें से एग्जिट होने का सोचे। और अशोका बिल्डकॉन, अगर आपका लॉन्ग टर्म नज़रिया है तो आप यहाँ पे बने रह सकते हैं 3 साल 5 साल। अदरवाइज शॉर्ट टर्म में मुझे लगता है कि ये एक रेंज है इसके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट, जो है 200 से लेके 280, जो एक कंजेशन जोन है स्टॉक के लिए, तो उसमें फंसा रह सकता है। तो ओवरऑल नज़रिया न्यूट्रल ही बनता है, और SCI में सेल ऑन राइज का नज़रिया बनता है।
चलिए आदित्य जी, आखिरी प्रश्न, उसके बाद आप वैलेंटाइंस डे एंजॉय कर सकते हैं। प्रियंका जी जानना चाहती हैं कि ये जो लेवल आपके सामने 235 रुपये 230 रुपये का दिख रहा है जियो फाइनेंशियल्स पर, क्या यहाँ पर एक लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए इस शेयर को इस लेवल पर ख़रीदा जा सकता है क्या? ध्यान दीजिए 222 रुपये जो आप देख रहे हैं, ये अगर आप लॉन्ग टर्म चार्ट बनाएंगे जियो फाइनेंशियल का, तो ये ऑलमोस्ट इसके जो लिस्टिंग प्राइस था डी मर्जर का, उसके आसपास आपको ये ट्रेड करता हुआ दिख रहा है। आदित्य जी, क्या राय?
बिल्कुल, देखिए ये सब स्टॉक फंडामेंटली स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टॉक है, और एक रेप्यूटेड पेरेंट कंपनी के स्टॉक्स हैं। तो यहाँ पे आप बिल्कुल बाय ऑन डिप्स की रणनीति बना सकते हैं। बट ये जरूर ध्यान में रखें कि बाजार के ट्रेंड के साथ सिंक में रहें। अभी बाजार का ट्रेंड डाउन चल रहा है, तो 1-2 हफ्ते में ये रिटर्न दे नहीं दे, बट अगर आप 3-5 साल का नजरिया बनाएं तो ये स्टॉक बहुत अच्छे हैं, जहाँ पे पॉजिटिव डेवलपमेंट्स हो रही है। पीछे काफी कुछ काम हो रहा है कंपनी का, बड़े बड़े ब्लैक रॉक के साथ टाई अप और ये सब जो है, ये लॉन्ग टर्म में इनको काफी अच्छा रिजल्ट देंगे। तो यहाँ पे आप बाय ऑन डिप्स की रणनीति रख सकते हैं। इस तरीके से पॉजिटिव नजरिया रहेगा फॉर द लॉन्ग रन।
जी, thank you, Aditya ji. Very kind of you to answer these questions very patiently. Have a nice evening and have a nice day. Let's hope that the lot of pain that is there in the market on Valentine's Day sort of improves towards the day's close. Happy Valentine's and happy weekends. Thank you for joining us, Aditya ji.
थैंक यू सो मच।
That, ladies and gentlemen, was our Daily Calls show. I'll be back at close to 3 p.m. to wrap up today's proceedings. Stay tuned to Business Way Television. There's lots that's happening on the other side of the break.
I am proud to highlight Karnataka's crucial role in driving innovation in the aerospace and defense sector. Karnataka contributes to 65% of India's aerospace related exports and caters to 70% supplier base for India's aerospace and defense industry. Supported by robust infrastructure, skilled talent, and global partnerships, Karnataka is shaping the future of India's aerospace aspirations. Invest Karnataka 2025 will further solidify our state's position as a preferred investor destination for aerospace and defense companies.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is the earnings special edition. Our focus will be on Lupin's Q3 FY25 earnings. The company has posted a consolidated net profit of 858.9 crores in Q3. That marks a 38.8% increase over last year's same quarter. Even the revenue